Well, what have we been telling you for the past 4 or 5 years? You're going to get chlorinated chicken, and we are going to have to reap the whirlwind that brings with it. That will be the complete destruction of British farming. We'll be flooded with cheap imports from across in America, which will not meet any of the standards that we have. Thus, our food standards and certainly the taste of the food we will have will drop dramatically. And Brexiteers have been coming on this channel every time I've talked about this, saying, oh, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, that will never happen, they'll never do that. Well, what have they gone and done? This comes from The Independent. How Boris Johnson dropped his promise to reject America's chlorinated chicken. This is a timeline of events that shows how the UK easily folded to American pressure. Remember, we're apparently meant to be this really strong trading nation according to Brexiteers. How can we fold then to this American pressure? MPs and campaigners are angry about Downing Street dropping its pledge not to accept US foods like chlorinated chicken and hormone-fed beef and pork as part of the US trade deal. Brexiteers have also been arguing for years. How dare these Europeans force upon us their standards? How dare we do that? How dare they do that to us? Where are you on this, Brexiteers? America has just forced its food standards on us. What happened to all that sovereignty and taking back control? So here's a look at the quick timeline of events that makes it clear how this happened. The 10th of January 2020. Environmental Secretary Teresa Villas was clear. We will not be importing chlorinated chicken. We will not be importing hormone-treated beef, she told the BBC's Countryfile programme. This was effective, reiterating a long-standing policy which had been put in place in 2017 when Michael Gove said the UK would not lower its food standards. On we shift to the 30th of January 2020. Less than 3 weeks later, something changed. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was interviewed on LBC Radio and made clear that if the UK wanted a trade deal, it would need to open its food cupboards to US producers. Our ask will be, as it has been in other negotiations, he said. He suggested that British farmers were scared of competing with the products, adding, we need to be open and honest about competitiveness. We need to make sure we don't use food safety as a ruse to try and protect a particular industry. The 23rd of February 2020. What happened next suggests the message was heard loud and clear in London. Asked about a pledge to keep food standards less than a month after Pompeo's intervention, the new Environmental Secretary, George Eustice, refused to guarantee the ban, saying only the government had no plans to change the law. 5th of May 2020. This is when trade talks with the US formally opened. On this day, Chuck Grassley, the Republican senator from the farming state of Ohio, warns chairs of the US state, which has sweeping powers on trade, elaborated further. Getting banned US food on British plates wasn't just part of the deal as far as he was concerned, it was the deal. I'm hoping to do it as if we get a good deal with the UK on agriculture. It's going to embarrass Europe, Mr. Grassley said. The 4th of June 2020. With trade talks running for less than a month, Downing Street appears to have folded, or at least put the issue of American food on the table. An article in the Daily Telegraph quoted a government source spelling out the UK plan, which Boris Johnson's spokesperson wouldn't deny when questioned later during a briefing of journalists. He also refused to repeat the pledge on chlorinated chicken, which is now apparently history. Nope, and that's it. So yeah, that's the timeline of events. So all these promises, Brexiteers, that you were listening to these people saying, "Oh no, we won't do that," and now you have chlorinated chicken coming to the UK, meaning that our farmers have two choices. Bear in mind that most of our food that these farmers do business with goes to the EU. That also means that we'll also be selling into the British market as well, meaning that you are pretty much rendering them completely uncompetitive in their home market. Not only that, if they want to be competitive in their home market, they will have to lower their standards, which will create a race to the bottom. There has been a massive difference which is not talked about compared to US farming compared to what's been going on in Europe, and I include that in the UK as well. In Europe, there has been an increase in standards, health, and hygiene. That has been the main push of what's been happening in Europe. In America, it has been a push for cutting corners and getting the most they possibly can of pure profit. And that is what is... Our farmers are screwed. Tomorrow we are going to go over an article that just going to show just how bad, especially the lower class in this country, is going to be affected by this food. And this will have a consequence. This is why we need these regulations. Food and stuff like this is important. It's good to have these standards. Why all of a sudden are we just going to abandon these standards because apparently America says so? I thought, Brexiteers, we were meant to be against that. I thought Brexit was about taking back control, making our own laws. Well, guess what? America says you can't have laws on your food standards. Yeah, any Brexiteer who continues to say this is either a complete idiot or just does no idea what the hell's going on, and they think they can avoid it. Bear in mind, in America, there is a massive push against labeling. You don't think that American products are going to be labelled correctly coming from the US? Remember, in the UK, that's a regulation too. How can you tell one chicken from another if it's not labelled correctly?